Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Are you feeling burnt out yet?
I think I am feeling burnt out, but I'm going to try to embrace the burnout.
Yes. Well, we've got a very exciting kind of burnout to add to your palette of being burnt out. So you ready?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm Adam Maness.
And I'm Peter Martin.
And you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Music advice burning its way towards your eardrums from our Shure microphones.
Okay, so sometimes, Peter, when you do as many podcast episodes as we've done over the past
How
3
many
years,
have we
we've
done?
done like 750, man. We've done a lot of podcast episodes, a lot of podcasting.
And yet it feels like everyone is the first.
Yeah. No. Sometimes magical things happen.
Yes.
Like we meticulously planned out an episode today. Stay with me.
Okay.
All about burnout.
Yes.
And then
I didn't get the memo, the kind of burnout you were talking about, so I might have put a bad vibe on things.
well, then everything
But
in
that's
our
in the
lives
past.
burnt out here at once. For those of you who missed it live on YouTube, we went to record this episode, and everything stopped working.
Yeah.
And you saw Adam Maness have a panic attack live on the air. A little bit. No, it was actually it's just part of the gig when
That's
you're doing
right.
live shows, and it's people might think there's like 3 producers in here with us because everything looks and sounds so
There's
good.
2 producers.
It's just you and I, and we do all the music.
And you're
and
my
all the
bro, so we're the bro-ducers.
and to be honest, I'm really just here for the espresso. So it's gonna happen. But it was a fortuitous thing today as we started recording.
a
this.
what thing?
Fortuitous events that as we started recording our episode here on burnout, that literally we started to burn out. But I feel good now, man. I'm ready to go.
But you know what? A nice little side note that we can learn from that, and we just want to talk about it real quick. When you get these little mini burnout situations or little stumbling blocks as performers, and look, we're all about getting better every day as musicians. That music advice. That's what we do here. You'll hear it. But it doesn't matter how much you plan, how much you practice, how many voicings you know, scale fingerings, all these great things that we talk about. Once you get into a performance situation, you know what they say, stuff happens. And there's even another way that they say it sometimes.
Yeah.
And so it's not about, are things going to go wrong? Things are going to go wrong doesn't matter what level. Doesn't matter if you are, Taylor Swift or Beyonce. Things are going to go awry at some point. And then it becomes, how do you respond? Like, can you get yourself out of that mini burnt out stage back into the zone of being prepared to edify and entertain the audience? Because that's what it's about. So as much as learning the technical aspects of music, improvisation, the theory, the harmony, sound production, all these great things, those are so important. But you want to sprinkle in a little bit of real life. Like, can you stoically continue on? Can you soldier on in the face of adversity? I think that we showed today, no, we cannot.
No, we definitely can't. I mean, hey, that's
Yes, of course
part
we
of being
can.
an improviser is pinning
right.
yourself into a corner and seeing if you can get out.
That's right.
That's kind of the fun of it. So
Yep.
luckily for us today, man,
Yep.
all the heavy lifting has been done by one of the greatest pianists of the 20th century, Kenny Kirkland.
Yes.
So we don't actually have to do very much of anything. We can just put up here 2 Down, 1 Across from Kenny Garrett's songbook album here. This is a transcription by Max Gamise. Now, before we get into it, I just want to explain the burnout thing here.
Yeah.
So when I started working here at Open Studio and we started hanging out and talking about music, you mentioned something from Black Codes from the Underground, and you said it's a burnout. It's E minor burnout.
Right.
And I was like, I never heard that. I never heard that term before, but I knew exactly what you were talking about as soon as you said it, because that's exactly the feeling that it is. It's a burnout feeling. So maybe you could describe to folks what a burnout might be.
Well, I could just play it, and that would be even better as a way to. Oh, sorry.
Triggering again. That's triggering.
You know what? This is how we help each other. I joke because I love. So burnout is it's a style that really originated, I would say, more with the Miles Davis Classic Quintet with Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Tony Williams, and Ron Carter.
Got to put McCoy.
And then McCoy, Tyner,
and John Coltrane
Quartet for sure. And certainly earlier, Ornette Coleman, I think in certain respects. But I don't know that it was ever called Burnout. I want to say that, well, the first time I heard about it, and it kind of felt like Wynton Marsalis, Branford Marsalis, Kenny Kirkland, Kenny Garrett and a lot of these great young lions in the 80s are the ones who coined the phrase. Maybe a jazz historian from yesteryear could correct us on that, but that's when I first heard it. That's when I first heard about jazz too, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, Burnout, so it was describing something that the young lions in the 80s kind of embraced and used as a real starting point and a foundation for a kind of renewal of that style and a building upon it as well. I mean, they certainly like the Wynton Marsalis Quintet, and then this is actually from the 90s, so this is kind of an extension, not the various earliest days of Burnout even, but with Kenny Garrett Quartet. But I think, Jeff Watts, like a lot of times Burnout people thinking about what is the harmonic implications, the melodic implications, and it's really more about the rhythm. It's the speed. It's almost always fast.
Yep.
At least here, but maybe here, 1, 2, ding, 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 or a bing, ding, but a minimum of kind of a medium up.
It's got some pace to it.
It's got a little pacing to it,
and it's usually one chord, or even just a note, like
kind of one tonal
root.
center.
Yeah.
A lot of times
Burnout.
we would say, exactly. F Burnout, E flat Burnout, D Burnout, and I believe, as I recall, man, I used to do a lot of Burnout. But I believe like C was kind of the standard. Like if you didn't say, if it was just like Burnout, you'd kind of go to C.
Right.
Not mandatory, but it'd be kind of like whatever the piano player, mashed down.
Yeah, whatever
first.
you hit down in a big old fifth. Let's not do that. But so when we did our episode on our favorite albums of the 90s, Kenny Garrett's songbook was on that episode. And Max Gamise, Max, who's our resident transcriber, he'll just like text me like, hey, I just transcribed Kenny Kirkland's entire solo from this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And, but he was like, he texted me with this excerpt from Kenny Kirkland's solo from 2 Down, 1 Across from Kenny Garrett's songbook. Yeah. And he's like, but I don't know, should I be putting chord changes? He's doing all this harmonic movements. Do I mark the chord? And I'm like, he's like, what are chord changes? And I'm like, oh, this is just E flat Burnout. Like he didn't know about it, and it was fun to like hear him like stress about like what are they doing? Yeah. But it's really just you have one tonal center, as you said, and then you can play off it. Shall we listen to this and then we can talk about it?
Let's do it.
All right, here's to hoping.
Me likey.
That doesn't sound like E flat.
That does.
And it goes on from there. But again,
Incredible.
So they're not, it's just amazing. So they're not thinking E flat minor this whole way. Obviously, you can hear Kenny Kirkland. What he's doing there is building tension by taking it off of, most of it is centered around like this E flat minor 7 business, right?
Yeah, and also that 6/9, he goes to, it's almost like, that G flat C F. Does he have it written? Is that? Yeah. A lot of that kind of giving it
and actually, you could see Kenny Kirkland's moving that shape around. But then at a certain point, like around here, like he'll completely abandon it, usually from one side chromatically or another, or maybe even something like a major third away or something like that, like right around here.
And then kind of bring it back home.
And then bring it back. Yeah, let's hear that again. We'll even pick it up a little bit before.
Because that's very E flat minorish.
Right. So what's going on through here? So we can kind of analyze this a little bit here.
Yeah.
So here, right here, this is definitely, I think, kind of E minorish. You can see here E minor 7-ish.
He's slipping up.
All the way up here. So G, B natural, D natural to F. And
then like F7 sharp 9 there going into when he goes up high.
Yeah, when he goes up high, F7 sharp 9, or which it might be, he's thinking B7 even.
Yeah.
All through here. Again, this might be F7. So thinking about slipping up and down chromatically. And then I love this part here as you...
Woo! Man, the rhythmic resolution on that.
So let's hear that.
And then when he goes... the structure of... Like, because Burnout doesn't have, a set form... or seemingly it does it, but it actually like normally moves in units of 4 bars, 8 bars, 16, which are very symmetrical. So within that, there's a lot of opportunity to really stretch and pull, certainly harmonically the whole time and even rhythmically, but like where it resolves is always interesting. It's very rare that it's like bow, like on one. It's always like like, and it's almost like a New Orleans kind of bass drum on the 4 kind of thing that works into that.
So it's interesting you say that in the
is that something that interests you?
It is, because in the Daily Guided Practice session, we're spending all this month on rhythm, and we're talking about something that I've been talking about called the quarter note syncopation. And this is something you hear. It's the big 4.
Oh, come on now. That's my jam. What?
But people like Thelonious Monk, brilliant as he was, would take that and, of course, like write melodies around that quarter note syncopation. Now this leads right into 80s Burnout, right? It's the same. It's coming from the same place. So if you think about like gong 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 doo doo ga 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 ga, that's exactly that big 4. If you think of something like a do da da do da boo bop, a do da 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 boo bop, bop da 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 ga ga ga. Again,
I love
that big 4. But it's even in things like down, ba ga do ga do da ga do ga da ga. Right? So he would displace it even beats 2 and 3 and then beats 3 and 4, like things like that. And that kind of quarter note syncopation, I think, is what really gives this that swing, that hump. So like you described him resolving not unlike that's 2 square, right? But this resolution with this like syncopating the quarter note, like that's answering yourself with that quarter note syncopation. And he does it right here in that section we just listened to with these octaves. Like not only is he taking it out harmonically, but rhythmically too, he resolves himself.
And you know, just to be clear on this, like the reason what Adam was just describing, what you were just describing, the reason the syncopation still resonates on the 4, because we might think, well, don't we want to be on an upbeat of like the 8th note? But because it's like whether we're slowing it down to kind of hear, well, like when you're singing, boom, boom, yeah, boom, boom, because it's boom,
yeah, exactly.
So it's a little bit of a longer syncopation. You always still have those opportunities for the smaller syncopations with the 8th notes, things that you're playing, but that foundation underneath is over the quarter note.
Yeah, come join us over on Open Studio Pro to practice these things. We were also kind of geeking out on the ga goom ga 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 dum dum da 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 ya da. Again, it's a quarter note syncopation. Da goom ga ga ga. It's like that quarter note is used at the end of the rhythmic phrase to put a punctuation on it. It's not the same as like an 8th note syncopation.
Right.
It's almost not as powerful.
Right.
Like an 8th note syncopation is almost like these jabs, and then you throw the haymaker with the quarter note.
Right.
Goom, goom, right? It's just a nice period on the end of the sentence.
Yeah. And I think that you can, I mean, and you'll see that Monk did this great in terms of the way he would build up his solos, and that he'd have that underlying quarter note syncopation going.
Yeah.
And then he'd move away from it and be doing like faster lines or 8th note sync, but you still would feel that. And sometimes the drummer would play it, but even if it wasn't played, it was still kind of resonating there and is really part of the form. But I think for this, you know, for the Burnout, that's the whole thing, because it's like the drama of it is that it's set up very square in a way, 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars, because it almost always resolves like that.
Yeah.
But in actuality, Kenny Kirkland never resolves it like that. Like and Jeff Watt. I mean, look, Jeff Watt is really the captain of this.
But they're
Burnout
using
ship.
this. So this is the thing. All these guys are totally schooled in like the tunes of Monk, and bebop, and exactly what we're talking about here. So it's when they resolve. Can I play this phrase here with the quarter notes? They don't, like, to your point, it's not so square. Just like the harmony is not so square. It's always E flat minor. Robot. Check it out here.
Dorian. Oh, that left hand goes Jeff. And then he resolves before he gets there, actually.
Well,
which is so cool.
And look at what he does to resolve right here. Da da ga ga. It's a big 4.
It's a big 4.
Da da ga ga da 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 ga ga.
If you'd had one more at 5, if you get one more, it's a big 5. You'd be on the safari in Africa.
No, then you'd be on the 1, and that'd be lame. But
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But I mean, honestly, if you want to, I mean, that's what's so beautiful about these great players is, like, you know, you talk about how advanced is this and contemporary, especially for its time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But how much it's still like the history of the music, that swing, that syncopation is always there.
Yeah.
It's really
and then look at that. He hits that in that next bar. Can you just play the last 2 bars right where you were on that line? Yeah. So there, he's going right into, he's already into the 8th note, that the very next bar, the 8th note syncopation. Bang. See on that and a 3.
Yeah. But look at how he uses the double stops. There's still that quarter note syncopation.
And then spreads it out. And then McCoy Tyner. McCoy comes to town.
Dunk, 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 dunk.
Yep.
It's awesome, man. And it's fun to, you could pretty much take any monk tune and find this quarter note. You could find the big 4 or the big 2 or the big 3 or whatever it is you want to call it.
Yeah.
But
That's so cool that it's like now we're seeing, this is the first time I'm realizing that Monk might be the originator more than even Miles or McCoy or Coltrane of the Burnout era.
I mean, it's the reason why his original compositions, I think, are so influential. If you learn them, you essentially learn the rhythmic vocabulary of the music.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, fun fact, during this time, kind of mid-'80s, when the Wynton Marsalis Quintet, Branford Marsalis, Charnette Moffett on bass, Kenny Kirkland on piano, of course, Jeff Watts on drums, while they were playing all this great Burnout and really, kind of codifying that sound, Monk was telling me and a number of other young aspiring musicians, check out Monk. I remember I was always like, wow, that sounds Burnout. Yeah. Why isn't he? And I would be like, what about Herbie Hancock? Because I'm like,
this is why Wynton told you when you were a kid, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Think about that.
Well, he didn't explain the other part, but I just blindly followed, so that was good.
But it's like a whole education. I mean, you can think about it's all of that. Yeah, it's giving you those big tools, and you could take pretty much any monk tune, but you can, and it's so cool to hear that in what we would think is this like, oh, it's like, this edgy, random Burnout music. Can you put it back up here? We can listen to it one more time.
Of course.
But it's all of that is here. That rhythmic vocabulary is here in the history of it.
Yep.
And then combined with all of that harmonic vocabulary of taking it
out,
slip and slide. Let's hear it one more time.
Okay, wait, hold up. We got to play it. So big gang, like the way that Kenny Garrett's rhythmic. The saxophone is an instrument that really just blossoms and shines when it's being played with like a rhythmic kind of clarity that we would normally associate with percussion instruments. But Kenny Garrett, Steve Wilson comes to mind, of course, John Coltrane, Wayne Shorter, but that like Kenny Garrett right there gets that rhythmic flavor in a way almost like big gang, and then Jeff Watts, and it's not about like robotically playing it together, but they set it off so well.
It's beautiful. Let's hear it again.
Yeah. Can you pause for just a second?
Yeah.
Okay, can I say something controversial?
Yeah, please.
Is this social bubble here? Okay. No one's going to hear it outside of this?
Be careful. We're live.
So I would just say this, since we did talk a little bit about failure today. Kenny Kirkland, obviously not failing here.
Wait, who's failing?
But there is a little bit of, hey, Adam, over here. There's a little bit, he's kind of, dare I say, floundering a little bit. Not floundering in that he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's not quite digging in. Check it out. I'm going to stop you right where I hear it, if that's okay. That's right in there. Killing all that. So that little part there, like he's a little tentative, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, this just shows you like you can, like, he doesn't let it phase him at all. And it still sounds great because of what he goes into next. It's almost like a dramatic thing. He probably didn't plan it like this, but he's a little bit rhythmically unstable. But because he's got that core time and temperature.
Controversial.
A little controversial, sorry. I don't know. Play it again. Tell me if you don't agree. We can duke it out, as you say. I mean, he gets right back in there so fast, though, I'm not criticizing. I'm actually saying it adds to it, I
mean, it's because it's only juxtaposed because his regular eighth note is so heavy and so locked in.
Exactly.
You know
that's what I'm telling, like, I tell a lot of students, I'm like, once you get good and you're locked in, it's almost harder because if you vary. I mean, if anybody else played those lines like that, you're like, wow, that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That's good because that's kind of their normal flow. But because he's so locked in, when he gets a little bit, but it's the beginning of the solo. Maybe he was adjusting his headphones. Who knows? But it just shows him. I mean, I love that. It's kind of like a great basketball player dribbling that slips up and like lets his dribble go for a second. He doesn't let it phase him or her.
No.
You know, they pick it right back up and they're like coming even harder after that.
Man, this is improvisation. This is not meant to be perfect.
That's right.
And also, by the way,
He starts playing with it too, right?
I know his little slip up actually feels pretty great.
Yeah, it's a little bit like.
And then just heavy handed.
And he's just like, oh, you thought I was slipping up? I got you. I got you.
Let me remind you that I'm Kenny Kirkland.
He's setting it up already here. On this next part. Oh, I just kidding. That's the end of it.
No, man. I mean, but you could go through here and like, you know, that again, that big four.
Stack day down.
Even that you know, like a 3/2 clave. These like standard bits of rhythmic vocabulary are all throughout this. Even when you're slipping out in all this crazy harmony that makes, you know, like crazy sense. That's why these masters sound so good. And
you know what? This is all within our grasp too. Like we this stuff is super, you know, advanced conceptually, but there's a simplistic execution to them. And sometimes looking at the transcription actually reveals that. I'm always surprised because like a lot of times the transcription can make things, until you dig a little bit deeper, it can make things seem more complicated. I mean, just the fact that you got 6 flats up there, that's already making me nervous, and all these naturals and stuff. But if you look at like the structure of the solo and how it fits in within this kind of unstructured, well, it's not totally unstructured, like we said, 8 bars, E flat, but unstructured in terms of where you want to go. The architecture and the arc of his solo starts to be revealed within the transcription.
That's great, man. So we will have this whole transcription available to you here in the link once this is published. Thank you so much for sticking with us, folks. Peter, we did it. We pulled it out, man. I was getting burnt out.
Well, you know,
I was a little worried that this episode wouldn't even happen because of all the technical burns.
Did you press record? Yes, you did. So
well, let me check.
There you go.
Okay. Yes. Okay. We recorded that. Thank goodness.
Good. Well, until next time.
You'll hear it. Shoot. Sorry. Hold on. Made it all the way through.
That's how we did it.
Without even any noodles available to us.
I did air noodles. Did you see
air noodles?
Good. All right. Well, thank you guys, YouTube. I appreciate you guys sticking around and coming back on the other stream. You know, that's how we do it. This was all set up for you guys to learn about burning out.
Congrats, everybody, for making it through. That's actually really great. I mean, like I said, man, in the show, it's like you're dealing with some Kenny Kirkland.
Kenny Kirkland makes it all right.
I mean,
makes it all right.
Wrong, right?
Right.
It's like it's
cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, till next time.
You'll